Hi, my name is Pip Coombs. I'm the author of The Hunted, which is the first book of the Phoenix series, and I thought I'd give you a little bit of a sneak peek into my series Bible. I know lots of people have their series Bible in very different ways, and a lot of people do it on Google Docs and things like that. I tried writing them in Word documents, but they just kind of, I don't know, they get lost in the pit of my computer and I never look at them. And I really like using notebooks. So I have a bunch of different notebooks and I'm gonna show you a couple of things, but not many because most things would spoil it. So I'm not gonna do that for you. But anyway, okay, so these are the books of this, I think most of the books of my series Bible, and I mean the most consistent thing across the board is that I almost never finish using a journal. Once I get a new idea or a new way of organizing it, I usually move on to a new journal, which is very wasteful, but unfortunately it's the way my brain works. So this one I started using because I loved the idea of it all being bound and written up in a leather bound diary, and I don't want to flip through too much, but I really only got as far as starting a very basic timeline. The trouble is there's something kind of big written in red, so I can't really show you. And some basic character description. So it was how I was keeping, you know, so-and-so has blue eyes and so-and-so has brown eyes and all this sort of stuff straight. This one, I'm pretty sure I got in Turkey, and I think I got it because I was like, ooh, it's all evil eye, and yeah. Anyway, let's not go there. And again, there's like almost nothing written in there. It is the very beginnings of ideas, and I'm reasonably sure I also just bought it so I'd have something to write on while I was traveling in Turkey. This one is a recently started one, and I'm just going to check what's got in it before I show you. Right, so this one I've been using to go through people's character arcs. So for example, one of the main characters, William Phoenix, I have a section on him, and what I've done is work backwards from where he needs to get, and including all the various things that happen to him along the way, and working out his emotional responses so that it makes sense by the time he gets to where he's got to go. This one is again a new one, and again I didn't write that much. This was more just kind of started when I was editing book 2 and going through and writing down everything that I needed to remember to include in book 2, and then from reading book 2 what I needed to remember to pick up and add into book 3. This one I'm definitely not showing you. It has lots and lots of things in it. So this one was the first serious series Bible I had. I bought this when I was living in London, when I stopped writing for, I want to say, nearly 2 years. And I just sort of said, look, this is getting too complicated. There's too many plot points. There's too many subplots. There's too many characters. There's too many important things that if I just try and freestyle this and write this, I'm going to lose track of it. And really that started from The Hive. And so in this, I sat down and wrote out things like what magic can do, what magic can't do, what does their legal system look like, what is their newspaper, what do the charms they wear look like, all of that sort of thing. So that's all in here, and the very beginnings of the first plot for each book. So if I show you The Hive, so this is the very first drawing of The Hive. I'm going to bring it a little bit closer. And some things have changed and some things have not, but I just wanted to get like the street names all laid out, and I wanted to have an idea where each of the shops were, so that if I referred to something by street name when they traveled to the Hive, that I could be consistent across the board and not keep buggering it up, basically. This one also has the beginnings of family trees in it because I wanted to know everything before I got going. This one I bought when I was in my first time to Yosemite National Park, and a storm came through and it flooded the place in about 5 minutes. It was no joke, like shin deep water in seconds. And this is just really the very beginnings of, I'm a bit wary of how much I open it. Oh, that's just still a cover page. Like the teachers in what they teach. This one is one I refer back to really regularly. It's kind of the updated version of this. So for example, I redrew out the island itself and where everything is, and redrew out the hive so that I could get everything right and where I wanted it to be. And lots of other things that I'm not going to show you. If we have a closer look at the hive is actually like an underground city. So the island of Lanhivelia forms in a way that enables vampires and magical beings and the other animals and creatures on the island to coexist. And one of the ways it's done this is to create this underground city that is accessible only to the wizards. So it enables them to have a place in which they can live which can't be violated by the vampires. It's called the Hive because inside you can see there's this dome and there's a little door down here, and inside there are some enormous bees which are extremely relevant to the plot. So just in brief, the blood diamond is a gift that the Ophelia, the high priestess, was given from the Tree of Life. It is an extremely powerful diamond, but it can be turned into an elixir that makes someone immortal. So the only way they can then be killed is to have gained a sample of their bone before they were turned into a truly immortal being, and to bathe it in the blood of the Ophir, who is William Phoenix, and to seal it in the sap of the queen bee. And so they would have to get into the hive to get that, and the queen bee would have to give it to them. Sounds a little bit crazy when you explain it in brief. Makes much more sense if you read the book. But so yeah, it's called the Hive because the hive is there. But it's a bustling underground city, and when they first come in, the students go to the bank, and one of the ways in which they identify themselves is by a blood payment. And then that allows essentially the bank tellers to have a look at what kind of access to funding that student has, and then the student can make withdrawals based on that. Over here, we've got Reptilius. So Reptilius is a shop where they sell and trade incredible animals, including reptiles, and up in the top level of Reptilius there are dragons, and the dragons are kind of housed in a way where their heads are trapped out, so they're looking out onto the main street, and they often blow fire down here and scream, and yeah, so you get a bit of interactions with dragons that are captive in the hive through here. This here behind the jail is a really important cottage where Penelope and Aurora receive their prophecies, which are extremely relevant to the plot of the story. And yeah, this is just a little look into the hive and into the world that's created. And I mean, it's hard to explain things quickly and without spoiling the story for you. So hopefully it makes sense, and hopefully you find this interesting. So I hope you've liked this video. If you have, hit like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know in the comments below how you keep your series Bible if you're a writer, or if there are any other videos that you want to see on this channel.